We in the wild. We in the Ville. And we in the Ville with you, Craig. What's up? Oh, let me quit chewing gum. Before we get started, Rich, anything you want to tell me? Either you want to say any minutes of guilt or concern?
Fuck you.
I know it.
You bastard.
Ah. All right, and we are. You ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
Remember, you are on camera.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Uh,
Bring some love into your life, bro. Come on. Let it in. Let it in. Let it in. Let it in. Let it. You know what I'm saying? Mika, 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 Mika. Are you ready now?
Miska, 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 Muska, Muska, Miska,
All right.
Muska.
All right. So in three, two, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another amazing episode of ThinkSync, where I sync and you think, or sometimes Rich thinks and I sync, and vice versa. Today we have an amazing episode. As you can see, we are in a new format, a new fly style for you guys, and we just want to say thank you so much for being patient with us as we kind of got this all together. So, as always, of course, I'm Zeke, and once again, welcome to today's episode. So, Rich, unlike previous episodes, obviously we can see each other. We are fully we're still digital and we're still not in the same room, but we are fully able to just like show all our expressions and our other things and just talk and talk. Yeah, meet the same. Facts. I'm proud of you. I didn't know what you were doing with your fingers when you said that, so I'm happy to hear a compliment. But so with this being said, Brody, quick question to start off the pod. What is your favorite feature about yourself? Yeah. Yeah. I did it before you. I did it before you. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. What about you? Is it your eyes?
No, but I have my favorite compliment came from my eyes. My very first homeroom teacher when I went to 10th grade. I went to a lot of different high schools when I was at
Yeah.
Westlake. I forget the woman's name, unfortunately. I know it started with an F, but she was my homeroom teacher for like 3 days before she quit. It was really, like, really, really funny because she just went to the high school
Wow.
down the street. But she said, she looked at me. I'm talking about before she said anything to the class. Walked in, everybody's bustling, talking all this. I'm in my little corner because I don't know anybody. First thing out her mouth was not good morning class. It was, you have such deeply poetic eyes. And I said, oh, well, thank you.
Yo. Yeah. Well, thank you.
You know what I'm saying? I have remembered that
You're
compliment.
feeding my high school ego. I needed that.
Exactly. But no, my favorite feature about myself is easily my mustache. My
That's
mustache,
surprising.
like my mustache, bro, like I don't know where I put my mustache comb at. Usually I have it next to me, but like I love my mustache
That's
game.
fancy.
It's just right for me, bro. It's just right. Like you see me without a mustache, you know the difference. You know what it looks like, and it's not right. It's not of this world. I don't appreciate it by any means. When people pull up my mustache, I love it. But when they pull up that picture without it, on my site, man, don't make me have to follow.
I thought I looked young, but when you cut off your goatee and your mustache, you look young, young. Everything is bare. I'm like, wow,
Yeah.
that's crazy. I thought you disliked your facial hair.
Nah, it's just a hassle. Like having a beard, that was not expected of me at all. I thought I was just gonna be a mustache guy forever, but it grew, and then I cut it, and it grew again, and it started this pattern until I figured out I could just rock the goatee and it stabilized my face. So that's what we do, man. That's what we do. But we took a break last week, and it was an unexpected one. It was finals week. We were busy. We were kind of running around different directions, trying to get our lives together, trying to figure out whether or not ThinkSync was really the product we wanted to bring to you guys. So now that we're kind of like, I guess you could say, just more in the moment and more willing to rock with how we looking at ThinkSync and things like that. What are you, Rich, most excited for to bring into the new era?
Um, the new era of ThinkSync comes with many features, just like your new Tesla Cybertruck.
Oh, beer, 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 beer.
I think that I'm just excited to bring more art into it. A new logo is going to be very, very awesome. And I'm excited that I'm working on it and really able to put a lot of brain power into how I want us to be seen, how I want the pod in general to be seen. And I want you guys to laugh at it. So I think that's probably the most exciting thing. Um, what about you?
Um, Honestly, the new logo, man, like rest in peace, Think Hippie. I'm very happy to see him go. Uh,
Bro's
Think
going to take off his headphones and take off his 3D glasses and experience the real world. So sad.
I'm excited though. I'm really
Yeah.
excited. I think that all in all, we didn't really know what the pod was going to look like 10 days from now. You know, and obviously we never will. But just like the willingness to change the logo, to add the banner, to do all the extra things, and all the doohickeys and the hoo-has, and everybody's just going to be really, really pleased, I think, with what we got coming out. So, guys, please stay tuned. Like, promise you. And next season, let's just say next season is going to be a freaking blast. All right.
It's gonna be very
Um,
fun. Yeah, I'm
it,
excited.
sh- it really, really should be. But to jump in today's episode, we got a lot going on. It's December, and we're ready to make it work. We're ready to make a kick. So we, of course, had to start December off with the most debilitating question of the day I could think of, which was if you guys, like looking back on your life, it's December, it's the end of the season. If you guys could pick one moment in your lives that forced you to mature, grow up, and just really make life worth living again, what was that event in your life that forced you to change? And I'm sure we got some pretty good responses, so I'm
Yeah,
gonna let
some
Rick start
great
them off. But
responses.
let's hit him with it, bro.
I think the first one that I really liked because it's just like it's just a such a good punch. It's a good vibe check. Just dealing with people who aren't as intelligent as me just makes me want to improve. You're so You're so right. Mostly just because I mean it comes off a bit arrogant, it comes off cocky, it comes off irritated, but it also I understand that completely. Like being real, you don't want to be in a room where you're being compared to people that aren't doing as much work as you are.
Yeah.
And that's always gonna make you want to improve. I want to be doing not so much, but being so impactful that you having pros and me having pros is completely different.
Mhm.
Tips and scales. So I mess with that. That's the kind of vibe that the year's been teaching you. That's a good way to end it off.
That really is. I mean, like, how many times just growing up have we seen that where you're in a room with this guy who does not know what he's talking about, but he wants everybody to assume he does, so he just makes a fool of himself, and then you're stuck picking up those pieces. It doesn't feel good, you know. And knowing that you have to differentiate yourself in order to be in those different rooms, that's a milestone. So you have my real applause.
No, shout out.
Yeah,
Shout out. I don't know how the year teaches you that though. I'm gonna have to pick their brain a little more about that.
yeah. Here's a good one. Um, Getting scammed by a fake lease, getting evicted, and getting a new spot the same day. Bro,
That intense.
that's intense. I could not imagine. Just like paint the scene, paint the scene. You just got all this furniture. You got the bedding. You got the lamp that you always wanted. You got your homegirls coming over with the nice housewarming party vibes. You got old girl from down the block ready to check you out. You know, moved in already. You got the big old box in your head. Got an intergalactic moment. She moving the statue in. You walking in. You like, oh, 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 oh. And then you look at her. She's bad. She's bad. Like, the most beautiful woman you ever seen. You so excited to make things work with her. Then you get a knock on your door. You got two officers next to this like 5'2" elderly woman shaking in her boots. You're not supposed to be here, dearie. Get out my building. Like, do you know how mad I'd be?
No, I'd be
Oh
insanely
my
pissed. Like,
gosh. Oh,
and then you
we
got to go move into a new spot the same day. Like,
facts, bro.
wow,
But you know, that's the blessing, bro. Like,
I already
I
hate moving.
that's really a blessing. Like being able to move into a new spot, do all those things, man.
Moving is a headache. I
It
like
is.
moving stuff, but it's a headache. So doing it twice in a row, you
Mhm.
have my applause. You got some grit. That's probably what you learned, that you got some grit
Yeah,
for this year.
yeah, definitely that. But let's just keep it going, man. What you got up next for me, bro?
Getting distracted my sophomore year and having my GPA drop. I mean, could it be me? But I understand why that's hard. I understand what how that happens to people. You know, couldn't be me. You know, I'm big. I'm big. I'm big. I'm big up. I'm big. I'm big honor roll. You know, except for this semester, but we don't.
Oh, what happened? Did you get distracted? Did your GPA drop
No, not at all.
in your senior year? What?
No way. My senior year, nah,
Nah,
that
it's
wouldn't. That wouldn't
nah.
happen to me.
But I'm sure like it's easy to get distracted when you're going about that kind of thing. Like you're embracing those new levels of life and you're faking everything, figuring out. It's so easy for your GPA to drop, bro. It's so easy. Like you get up in that you find you a nice lady, bro, or a cool dude or whatever got you going at the time and you vibing out, you having a good old day, old fashioned, just a hooting at it. And next thing you know, you look at your grades and now you got a holler and hooting at it because what just happened? Semester done flew by because it's 2 days long and you've been drinking for a day and a half. Like, that's real. That's just real.
No, it's
That's real,
extremely real.
bro. I can't
And
even be.
it's good if you are already working on your GPA, you know what I'm saying? You get to have a cushion for yourself and you get to make those mistakes. I dislike GPA and grading systems in general because it almost forces you to say, are you going to put in as much effort as you humanly can?
Mhm.
And you should. You should put in as much effort as you humanly can if you want to get this A.
Right.
And if you don't, you're going to be subpar. But it's like having an A literally means you went above and beyond. But B and C's are the average, literally. They're almost discouraged to be the average in a lot of ways. Should always strive for the best, but it's not always feasible to make an A.
Definitely that. So
Like, who's
you
telling calculus students to make an A in calculus? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You're gonna make an A in calculus? Didn't you make an A in calculus?
me?
Yeah. Oh, my bad.
No. What? No, not at all. Math is hard, people. Math is hard, and if you're me, school is dumb. And you gotta fight between the two versions of yourself to make it work. So no, I did
No.
not get an A in calculus. I did not get an A in calculus. But
Well, I
that
believe.
leads me because I was going my next question for you was what was the time in your life that made you mature, but you just decided to mention mine. When I like really love school and stuff, half the reason that I think I was able to like really just like lock in and shape my behaviors differently and stuff like that is because I have failed so much in school. Like I took so many L's. Taking an L in the real world didn't feel like nothing to me. Like I was like, oh, you told me no, I can't do this thing. That's cool. Let me find this other thing to do that's gonna make me some money. And I just kept bouncing around, bouncing around. Like I'm a real blue collar boy. You know what I'm saying? Like I get the work done.
Absolutely. Get the work done.
Yeah, but you got to, man. There's no point in falling short of your goals at all. You know,
Not anymore.
definitely not anymore. But yeah, man. What about you, bro? Like, what was the point in your life that made you kind of like shape your experiences differently? What made you mature?
Mm, that's a good question. Because I don't know. I don't really see myself as any different from when I was like in high school.
Mm.
Um, but I mean, recently it was my Halloween party, but I don't know if that was a maturing. I guess it wasn't maturing in a lot of ways, but it was
Mm.
more so like a shifting in um ideals and like the way I wanted to conduct my life.
That sounds
Um,
like maturity, yes.
yeah, that sounds like maturing. I mean, it wasn't a lot of, and it wasn't a lot of ways, and it was just because at that point, being at that party, it was weird how much I was not enjoying myself. And I was coming from a space where I love doing parties and making parties and hosting parties. Um, and to be there not necessarily enjoying myself as much as I was previously, and being down on myself because of it, like that's bad. Didn't necessarily mean I didn't like partying, but I think it was the realization that I couldn't use that anymore as a way to escape my problems.
Mm. Do you feel like that was something you were doing a lot of the times? Like you were letting like those festive spaces kind of block you from what was really fermenting in your head?
I think when I look back on it in hindsight,
Mhm.
I could definitely see myself using like parties and things like that as cover, especially when they didn't go well. And those days that they didn't go well, the day after was awful. Day after was bad. It was very defeating. And most of that, and a lot of that can be compounded on with, it can be compounded with the things that was happening in my life up until that point.
Mm.
I dropped my eraser. Sorry.
I feel
But
you.
but maturing is hard. I had to. It takes me a second to realize that I'm not the same person that I was like a couple months ago, in the beginning of the year, at the end of the year, things like that.
Word. Word. Nah, bro, I feel that. Like, really, I feel that. I was talking to the guys today and we were just talking, like we were chatting. We were having such a it was weird because we were having a 2 a.m. talk at 12 p.m. Like
I
I've
love
never
that.
just had chat at noon that was so in depth before. It was like my guys. Like we were just sitting there. It was like me, Gabe, Justo, Devon, and Zay, and we were just
Mhm.
talking. We were talking about all sorts of things, talking about how we loved our girlfriends, how we like being in those relationships, but we also talked about like what it was like to get older and start embracing what it meant to be older. And one of those things we touched on was like I literally talked about partying as well. I talked about how when you and I first came in our freshman year, like what 2021, we were party fiends. We love to be outside. We love to hang out. We love to drink. We love to just do the most and go to sleep, wake up, snap back, ready, go to class like it never happened. That was a flex. That was like a journey for us.
Just like, mhm.
When I left and then I came back and I was like hanging out with you guys, like I show up to a party and disappear. You'd be like, "Where's Zeke?" And I'd be literally like in somebody's bathroom, scrolling on my phone, just chilling. Like being on the balcony away from everybody, finding the most open and non-people crowded place ever. Because I realized I don't like to party anymore. I don't like being in everybody's face and being in everybody's face and enjoying all their stuff and resources when none of it benefits you. Like drinking, bro. What is that? Like, come on, man. Like I don't want to kill myself before I'm even 25. Like, are you kidding me? But
That's your recipe for killing your kidneys or
yeah,
liver,
liver, kidneys, all of it will go.
all of it.
It,
Yeah.
it literally destroys you from head to toe. Alcohol destroys your brain cells. It destroys some of your motor functions. It destroys your liver. It hurts your heart. It can hurt your lung function. It literally can just take you out because alcohol kills cells. Like that's what it does, and
Mm.
it's extreme. So it's like stuff like that. Eventually, I started paying attention. I started waking up and realizing that like even when I was snapping back the same way, mentally, I didn't really feel like I was doing anything. I didn't feel like there was something to be proud of anymore. I was like,
Really
I acted
wasn't.
cool last night and I woke up next morning and now I want to go to class and become some kind of like jackass. I'm like, this isn't who I want to be anymore. And I'm happy that we evolved away from that, like as a unit, because that was
Yeah,
such
kind of collectively, we did not leave anyone behind on that train. Like a lot of everyone that was partying with us has probably stopped partying at this point, unless they were always a partier, unless they were
yeah,
always a partier. And we've already seen that. And yeah, they fizzle out on their own.
they do. And I'm happy to report that we haven't fizzled out just yet.
No, we
um,
haven't. Thank goodness.
but I will say a lot of the reason that I think that we embrace those nastier sides of what's considered the fun stuff is how we involve ourselves in like social media, how we watch our television shows, and how we listen to music. Like I think a lot of
Mhm.
the content we consume is directly related to how we portray ourselves in the successful limelight. Like if it were to be boiled down to something, right? There's just sometimes you only listen to music, you only watch shows and stuff like that. You only do certain activities in the club. You only do it in somebody's house party, stuff like that. So if you want to make more of our lives and more of it worthwhile, the first step, of course, is going to be stepping away from what we consume that can be considered harmful to us. You get me?
It's like listening to secular music. That's why people that are really in their faith and they're delved deep into their faith, part of
Mhm.
them is literally cutting out sounds and influences that can guide them away from what they truly want. Like, I didn't realize one, secular is a cool word just in general. But
Yeah,
when I was learning about this grading, grading, when I was learning about this painting called The Garden of Earthly Delights, and it was talking about, yeah, you listen to secular music, it sends you to hell and blah, blah, blah. Um, and it leads you down temptation and blah, blah, blah. I was like, yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, do you listen? Do you listen to music sometimes? Music is inspiring, it's passionate, which means that any words that go into that passion, you're going to internalize in some shape, form, or fashion.
literally that. Like looking at how we protect our youth through music is important too. Like, um, I watched a lot of our peers and I watched a lot of our peers' children and even just like the parents of our peers. Like I watched those three generations and I look at them so closely now because I'm beginning to recognize that we all consume different not like I guess you say modules, not no, 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 nodes of music and different nodes of culture through music. So if you look at my mom, you look at my mom's music and how she raised us and how she was raised, there's a lot more soul. Like my mom was born in like the mid 70s. She was born in like 75. So that era onwards. So that's the birth of hip hop. That's the what you call it. That's the migration from like soul and blues into early hip hop, stronger roots like literally the Roots, Black Star, Lauryn Hill, the X Factor, stuff like that, music like that where a melodic flow is
Mhm.
attached to a more poetic style, and that's what hip hop is, and that's how hip hop was. Like I was watching this on the Radar interview, and it was some random white guy producer, and he was talking about some, oh yeah, man, I can't stand when people take old like soul music tracks and they sample them and stuff. Like, bro, get that unk shit out of here. Unk shit, what are you talking about? That's the whole foundation of what rap, hip hop, trap, all that comes from. You cannot
Literally.
out the spine. But it goes to show what was put in front of us as important. Like when we grew up, we were born in 2002 and '03.
Hmm.
That for us was the trap era. That was early trap era. That's T.I., that's Future, that's Jay-Z, that's even a little bit
Logan,
Outkast, Lil Wayne for sure. You know what I'm saying? And then we move forward, we get the Jeezy flows, we get Gucci Mane, we get all those beautiful.
21,
Say one more.
21.
21, like as we're shaping forward and stuff like that. And then like now there's also genres that are like distributing themselves. Like we have conscious rap in the 2010s, right? So it was like Cole, we had Lupe Fiasco, we had Kendrick, we had all types of different artists and stuff. But nowadays that's not here. That's
It's
not here
not
the same
really
magnitude in which it was. Like the respect to women has dropped off significantly. I believe.
significant.
I think that a lot of our how do I put this? A lot of what we held as important culture wise has been spread and diffused through applications like TikTok and then eventually appropriated like people on TikTok. Like, I always bring up that lady in Moana too, where they started doing and she was like,
Like,
like she was like really feeling herself. Like she going, like her neck's all out and like, yo, like,
like,
but
are you not embarrassed?
are you not embarrassed? Are you not like writhingly maddened by this? What
Probably not.
is the cost there? But there is no cost. The point is that there's no punishment or there's no focus on what's important to us anymore. And I'll be honest with you, like even with music today, I think it's way too early, and I think there has to be a better job protecting children through what we consume as adults. Like one thing that I remember fondly now that I'm older, instead of just looking at it grumpily when I was younger, my parents and my aunt, who is like a parent to me, were very adamant that I should not be watching things like Caillou and things like Family Guy, Cleveland Show, stuff like that so early. And yeah, I agree that some of it was a bit overprotective, but a good majority of it, we have to remember the root word here is protect. So it's like it was done with the intention of keeping us safe and making sure my mind was melded in a way that was allowing to just like be on that right path. And I feel like the people who didn't get those parameters set are now seeing the results of that. You know, like for better or for worse, I think I'm very morally bound. I'm to a degree communicative. And obviously some of us are who did watch those things are as well, but I think that there was a focus there. I watched Sesame
Yeah.
Street and Pop-Krats. I was a PBS kid for real. Mickey Mouse, you know what I'm saying? Dora. You know what I'm saying? And that
I
was
was a Family Guy kid. And not even because my parents let me watch it, but because I was so interested and I thought it was so funny that I would go and find Family Guy
no,
stuff.
trust me, it's
It
funny as
was
hell.
all over Netflix. It's
Oh
so
my
funny.
gosh. It's so funny. Like
It's
back when Bob's Burgers and all those shows were on Netflix.
Bob's Burgers, King of the Hill, American Dad, Family Guy, Cleveland Show. Even though I think King of the Hill was bad, Cleveland Show is okay, and American Dad is slept on. American Dad is slept on like
American Dad is
a lot.
fun. It's funny,
Fun.
funny. And it's
Like it's
gotten
funny.
funnier. I don't know what writers they've added, but it's funny as hell. Like, it's actually funny too.
And that's crazy because Family Guy did not get no funnier. Family Guy got worse
Right.
in a lot
It
of
got,
ways.
it got way worse. And it's just because, like, bro, like, you can only do so much with what you have. You know what I'm saying? You out here running around trying to do the same thing over and over again. It's gonna add up, you know what I'm saying?
Gonna
But
add that, yeah.
that's whatever, really, though. But to kind of get back on our subject, we look at how children are listening to music now versus how we were watching the shows we were now and what we're watching now. Like
Mhm.
Degrassi was grown. Like Nick, like what was it? Teen Nick, Nicktoons, Nick Jr., and Nickelodeon as four
Mhm.
different networks was actually instrumental.
It
I
kind of
didn't
was,
really,
yeah.
yeah, and like having Cartoon Network, Boomerang, and Adult Swim, having Disney Jr., and then having Disney Retro Disney in the morning, stuff like that, and Nick at Night. I forgot that one, but like I don't think anybody realized what damage we were being protected from until they cut those networks through everything on the same channel. Like nowadays, your kid wake up at 6 p.m. and they just turn on the
And watch
TV.
Netflix.
It's terrible
Turn on
because
Netflix.
of
Yeah.
filters, of blockers. So it's like now we have kids like Lil RT. Have you heard of Lil RT?
Who's little RT?
Bro, it's like a 7-year-old, and he's a rapper, and he is
Huh?
foul in his language. Like, and it's not his fault. It's not his fault at all. It's his mama's fault.
It's his mama's fault for letting him go
He be taking pictures with a little
to do
baby.
music
He be
like
up in the
that.
strip club. What are you doing at the strip club before you even know how to spell? Kidding me? Meanwhile, children these days can't read. They can't write properly. None of them know cursive. And it's just like, I don't know. I don't know. But
He, yeah, that kid's bro. That kid's like it
yeah, he's
looks
young.
7. Like he looks 8. Like how is he going to strip club? And it's so annoying that he's like black man. I don't like that. I can't describe how much that annoys me, but
But
black
it's,
boy, black kid.
yeah. But per usual, to throw in my Black Power voice, you know what I'm saying? Allow me to say this. Black men, as a father, it's our duties to protect our sons from this. It's our duty to
Fact.
protect our daughters and our sisters and the women in our lives from this. To promote all these things without understanding the consequences of what we consume media wise will only drive more of us towards this undesirable future where our children are running around here trying to get tattoos at 13, out here screwing and doing all these unnecessary and vile things so early in life. They don't know it's vile. Do you want your children to be martyrs and murderers, or do you want your children to grow up to be doctors, engineers, painters, lawyers, all the above? You know,
Hmm.
we should prioritize the arts. This is true. Allow your children to embrace their creativity, but also curb, curb them into what's greater than you. Mold your children into the next generation for the future and not what you see as entertainment.
Entertainment.
There's a very large population on the internet where people are just going around like using their children as sources of giggles, especially on TikTok. Like,
Especially
and I
on
hate to see
TikTok.
that when they're messing around with their child who's clearly autistic or something, and the child be screaming, "Oh, I don't want to be the camera." Like, I'm stimulated. You're overstimulating me. Stop doing this to me. And they'll be like, "Oh no, and here we have Tommy again, and Tommy's making a fool of himself. Oh my gosh, everybody look and laugh at Tommy." And these comments are recognizing it, but we're still feeding it to ourselves. We're like, "Oh
Yeah.
yeah, she's great. You should stop. You should stop listening and doing this. Like this is terrible. Stop hurting your child. Stop abusing your child." Oh, is that a Dyson vacuum 368? Get one of those from the TikTok shop. Yeah, stop abusing your child. Stop abusing your child. And the next slide will be something about some tragedy elsewhere. And then you swipe again, and it's about food culture and food porn. We cannot keep doing this to ourselves and expecting results that aren't what we have.
Hmm.
But I know you also had a perspective on it about things like arts and stuff like that. We were talking about it before I got here in my ranty mode. So hit me with it, man. Like,
I mean, consumption is just so part of our daily lives now. Everyone's consuming such different amount of media. Same thing with kids. I mean, especially with kids, if we're gonna go back to that, like between kids and the music. Like when I was growing up and I was listening to music as a kid, the thing that was so interesting about music is how do I find it? How do I find where this music came from? And how do I add this to my collection? And over time as a kid, I still listen to the stuff that I found when I was 5 now. And like that's a treasured song for me. I was able to find, but I don't kids do that now, and they don't necessarily. I didn't really understand the lyrics back then, but I listen to the lyrics now, and I'm like, oh my gosh, you dirty, dirty 5-year-old.
yeah, but it
Especially
was
with
like,
little. Hmm.
you know,
Oh, I was
I
just saying, especially with Little Wayne and stuff like that. It's very interesting. But consumption, like of media, just in general, being on TikTok, being on Instagram, I feel like I'm forced to do it in a lot of ways, not necessarily because I want to. I think as an artist and as a creative, part of your job is to consume new things, to reconsume old passions and old media that you have known. So that way you can understand why you like them and why people like them. You're consuming new media to make sure that you're staying with the trends and you can stay in some sort of limelight, and have your work actually seen for the things you want to make that aren't necessarily part of those trends or meant to be consumed at mass. Um, like let's think about this. The advent of the word mid. You know what mid means?
was made medium.
Mid means middle. It means it's the middle of the road. It's not good, it's not bad, it's mid.
Right.
When someone calls something mid nowadays, that just means bad. When people say mid, they aren't saying a 5 out of 10. They're saying a 3 out of 10. This is mid, but like that's not mid. That's bad. When something's a 7 out of 10, it's not mid. It's good. It's a 7 out of 10. It's not a 5 out of 10. It's not a 6. It's not a 4. That's mid. And it's like you consume so much of things that you consume so much, and then you report on those things. And in order to get people to get people enticed about it, get people to really dig into what you're saying, it either has to be really good or really bad. I've always had that annoyance and grievance when it comes to things that I like to consume. I
Right.
don't like consuming great things all the time. Thor: Love and Thunder is bad. Don't argue with me. But I'll watch a good Thor Dark World. I'll watch a good Thor Dark World. I can laugh at Thor Dark World because it's bad, but it tried to be good.
Yeah.
Thor: Love and Thunder didn't try to be good. It didn't try to be good.
Yeah.
People may call that mid.
You know I still like that movie,
Hey,
right?
huh?
You know I still like that movie, right?
I know. That's why I pointed at you. You thought I was pointing at them? No, no, no. You guys are good. You.
No, fuck you. It's
You.
you I don't like.
You're the
Listen.
liar. You don't really like that movie. All right.
All right, all
But
right. So
it's
with that in
also
mind,
like
what you
I
watch?
understand how people consume media differently, how people just enjoy entertainment differently. Um, and the crux of the issue is just that a lot of people are consuming more entertainment, or even me. I'm using more entertainment than I am like actual knowledge and things that could benefit me as in the long term. You don't do that, do you?
Just wait, say it again. I'm not consuming.
You don't consume. Well, you don't. You're not like taking in nothing but entertainment 24/7.
Oh, I try
Mm-hmm.
to avoid it, but I think it's pretty difficult. I
Same
think
here.
that the things that I find entertaining are like books. Like I'm literally surrounded by books right now. Like just in my arm's reach, I can pull out three books. Actually, I have more all around me. I'm surrounded
Same.
by.
I actually have like same. I actually have like seven of these
Yeah.
or something.
I think
Or
that
12.
being a reader forced me to be more intentional with what I read. Like, there's this really, really big thing as a reader. Like, if you're really within the reader community, like, there's a DNF thing. And it's did not finish, right?
Mm.
Uh, and you have to really, really try with a book before you DNF it. It can't just be like that. Being mid as a reader is okay, but being mid as a music enjoyer or a comic enjoyer or something like that sucks. Like I
It
was reading a
sucks.
website
Yeah.
earlier, and that was something that came up. Like I was reading this thing, and I'm like, this is just okay, and people are rating it so highly, but it's because of things like our education system and our rating
Mm-hmm.
system.
Mm-hmm.
If it's not an eight, it's garbage. Like you can't even rate people
Literally.
under 5 stars on Uber. Have you noticed that? If you take a Uber and or a Lyft or something, and it's a 4 point, if you just want to put a four, you will have to answer questions. They want the feedback, and it's non-negotiable. I mean, literally, like, bro, like one time I was in a car and it was stinky, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, okay, but he was a good driver, he was respectful, stuff like that, and I'm just like, dang, like I don't really want to give three or some, but you was still decent, so I'm gonna give you a four. That's an 80%. In school, that was smooth. You got an 8%. You was doing good, but
Mm-hmm.
but it's like you hit that mark, and they like about that.
So what do you mean? What do you mean it was a
Yeah,
four? Like
yeah.
it was good, but he did something, or what? What's going on? Could you actually answer five times real quick?
Exactly that. And it's like it gets to a point where it won't even let you move on unless you provide feedback. And that's extremely annoying.
That's
But
extremely annoying. Feedback is supposed to be constructive,
yeah.
not like
But you're right
muzzly.
because exactly, and you're completely right about the fact that it has to either be really bad or really good. There's no in between. And I think the in between, that bridge and it being missing, I do think it comes from our schools. With a 70% being the bare minimum, you mean to tell me you have to be 20 points over the middle line in order to pass? That doesn't make sense
That doesn't
because
make any sense.
it doesn't, because being average should be okay. If anything, I think if we were to really put school in a new light, I think a very good exercise would be to apply something like a midline, right? Like when you do bell curves and stuff like that, whatever the curve is, right? Standard deviation, past that curve, okay, these people need work. Doesn't mean fail them. Maybe if they're like two times past standard deviation, okay, you failed, right? But if everybody in a class, say, got around a 76 as a median score, somebody got 84 or an 80 on the, I was like 84, yeah. So, and then somebody on the other end got maybe a 62, right? So on both sides
Right.
is at least a 10-point difference. Okay, help the person on the other side, have the person on that far end help the person on the other side. Let's see if they can get that median spot. But failing everybody, maybe like getting those last two people, it will force competition, but also cooperation. It will lower the stigma of what it means to be good or bad. I think
Hmm.
that's a very instrumental part if we want to just deconstruct the prison industrial complex. Like that's important.
And it would also help us contextualize what intelligence actually is and how to cultivate it.
Yes.
Because
Yes.
cultivating intelligence, I don't think that schools really help you be intelligent. They just help you understand, which is like, it's like that's cool, but that's only the first level of intelligence is to be able
Right.
to comprehend something and regurgitate it. That's not
Right.
why I should be taking a test. I should be taking a test and trying to get an A because I completely understand it. And having an A, I think that it reflects that. I think that getting an A in the school system reflects you truly understanding the material that you're trying to do.
Right.
But getting a C does not reflect that same thing. It doesn't reflect the same thing. You're not understanding it at a C level. I don't really think that's how it works. Mainly in like non-college spaces. I wish that gifted and talented program was better. It's really where I'm gonna end that statement.
For sure. But you know how we were talking earlier, and like the intention of the episode was to be consumption and digestion. I think
Mhm.
where the digestion part lies. You know, like
Intelligence, or what do you mean?
not in
Where did the
intelligence, but
digestion
the
part lie?
environment that we set up people to succeed in.
Oh,
We
absolutely.
do not create environments like we are forcing the idea of excellence down people's throats, which is cool if you want your child to fail.
Yeah, if you want your child to.
Because what ends up happening is just like anything, overconsumption leads to poor digestive results. So throwing your children in these mindsets that unless you are the best, you're a failure, and unless you do this exactly correctly, you have failed, or telling someone they have these high amounts of talent without supporting that talent in a way that would contribute to other areas of talent. Like if you're not a grade A artist, there's no point in art. What is that? If you
No,
can't write the next Shakespearean drama, you are a terrible poet. You're a terrible playwright. What sense does that make? If you are slightly good at math, you must be an engineer or a chemist. You must pursue science and physics. That's poor. Because
of
end of the
course.
day, us losing our connection with history is half the reason that our culture is failing right now. The reason that our children can't read is because we've taken less efforts to pursue the arts. So there's no point in literacy because there is no rhetorical devices. Oh wow.
Far.
Okay. Um, the reason that your children can be good at one thing is because you're so busy making savants because all your children know how to do is turn on their laptop and go on like iPhones. iPhones have destroyed technological literacy because everything you do on an iPhone, like, is going to just hold, click, swipe, jump. Like that's it. That's literally it. There is no search bar. There is no attempt. There is no extra effort. It's just all in your face, so you use it at face value. There's no critical thinking skills being developed here.
Volunteer.
And so,
Yeah, critical thinking is being lost, and it's something that I've been trying to work on recently. Like I've been having thoughts, and I've been trying to push those thoughts. Like
you have thoughts?
ask a deeper question. No, I know, right? It's really hard. I only have thoughts when there's a word in front of me, and then I'm like, ooh, word, 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 word. That's it. That's the thought. I saw
Damn,
Amazon, and I just started saying Amazon 5 times. Yeah, exactly.
it-
There.
it's
But
okay.
I think that critical thinking comes from being able to ask another question about the question you're being asked to help
Mm.
you understand. And I think that I have been struggling with critical thinking in a sense. Not that I can't critical think, but that I could be a lot better at it. So I'll ask myself questions about this thing that I don't understand,
Right.
and I stop being able to ask questions. Not because I'm understand it more, but because I do understand it more, but I don't understand what I don't understand. And critical thinking is supposed to help you jump that leap,
Mhm.
and or make that jump to more intelligent conversations and discussions and digestion. When you're able to critical think, you'll be able to digest the things that you're consuming. Um, and I don't know how to learn better critical thinking without going back in time and beating the crap out of my childhood self until he understood history a little bit better. Um,
Um,
Practice also.
yeah, I was just gonna say like that's the tool. Like when you're talking about developing those skills, science has shown us that the elderly who pursue things like crossword puzzles, word games, matches, and like things like Wordle have a much easier time.
I got to do
Much
Wordle today.
easier time. I did too. No, I didn't. I did it at like 2 a.m.
Oh,
They have a much easier time. Don't ask me about my Wordle. It's an addiction. They have a much easier time developing and holding on to like conversations, thoughts, and things like that of that important nature in their later years in life. I think it's important to start that early as you can.
hmm
So it's like if you're constantly reading books outside of a fiction manner and more of a biography, autobiography, just some level of learning behind it, like a textbook even, you will develop those skills. And that's where I think it starts. Like, of course, my book is Atomic Habits, and that was the book that kind of helped me develop more critical thinking skills because that book was set up like a textbook. So it's like it was written in a way that forced you to ask another question.
Yeah.
Like at the end of the book, end of the chapter, like chapter review, maybe you'll say something like habits are formed by these three steps. How do you incorporate these 3 steps in your day to day? How do you avoid using these 3 steps because these 3 steps are so in your face? Um, and so it's like you go throughout your day and you're being aware, you're being conscious, you're prioritizing what you are thinking about. And that's what critical thinking skills are. Critical meaning important, thinking, you know what thinking is, and skills, right? So if you were to change it, what is basically asking yourself, what are the important questions? Identifying the important things, the systems, the roots, and stuff like that that's supposed to be in your face. It starts with identifying context clues, navigating details, and navigating fluff. And so if you were to say, well, how do I get better at history? The statement is, how do I better consume it? You know?
How do you better consume it? I think that a constant state of consuming is as good. A constant state of consuming something that's
Mhm.
specific is as good as focused consuming of it.
Like
Like,
micro learning?
hmm?
Like micro learning?
Yeah, like micro learning. Yeah, yeah. Like Marley, right?
Yeah.
She she's wicked smart. Wicked smart. But not only is she wicked smart, but she's low key crazy because she used to have her science notes as her home screen, her lock
Oh,
screen, and her home screen. So
but that's
whenever she was looking at her phone, she was also looking at her notes. That's crazy. That's smart too, because you're able to kind of think about the sciences and not just that problem. You're not just going to be thinking about that problem when you're looking at it. You're going to be thinking about how it connects to what you've been studying in general and in totality and things like that. I
um
know as an artist, again, I constantly consume. I'm constantly consuming newer anime, or newer art styles, or excited for this thing to come out so I can read it and I can understand why it works and what and how I connect it to this thing or that thing. That's how you get better.
how you get better. I it kind of brought a question in my head because you were talking about it, but out of all that you've kind of witnessed and seen from this year, what do you think was the best pieces of art that you were able to like just really like look and lock into? Because I know you have some things you've liked so far in this year. Even though the year's grand, it's so much like
So
what
much.
you
Yeah. There's so much. First of all, Kendrick versus Drake made some really good art. It made really good music from both of them and made really good art. Like the verses battles, like that anime style shonen battle cartoon like excitement that you get from the you get that excitement from the music when people make art about them. I thought that was so cool. Very nice. I've actually been looking into a lot of older artists recently, like not 21st century artists, very like painters, French painters, Italian painters, things like that. Um, my friend has this painting in her room by a guy named Francisco Goya. I'm
Oh, Goya?
now Goya, yes, you know, right? Officially, maybe obsessed with him, and it's not even because I really like oil painting, but
Mhm.
I like the medium. I like the story. The I like the come on, give me the word theme. I like the themes that he's presenting in all of his projects. Um, and I like how he's using religion as a vehicle to criticize both people that practice religion and governments that um, bring war or have warlike tyrant tendencies. Like it's so cool. His art is so cool. Garden of Earthly Delights by what is Harmonious Bosch. That's a triptych. That's three different panels worth of story that's guiding you from beginning to end. And every time you look at it, you see something different and you read something different. Love art that makes you have to look into it, that makes you have to really um, ask yourselves the questions that it's already answering. And you just don't know that it's answering those questions for you.
No, I have to check it out. It sounds amazing.
Garden of Earthly Delights. It's cool. It's also well, obviously it's very Christianity oriented, very um it's dealing with Catholicism and those sins, like it's about the sin of lust.
Okay. How
So
about this?
cool.
We'll do a trade. Have you heard GNX yet? Like the album by Kendrick? Like
No,
Top
I
Dollar?
actually did. The new one, right? I actually finished it
Mhm.
all the way through.
All
I
the
have
way
to
through?
listen to it a second time. Yeah, yeah.
All right, bet. So I want you to go and listen to the song "Reincarnated,"
Mm-hmm.
and like,
Okay.
not for not don't listen to it for funsies. Listen to it with the intention and read the lyrics alongside it, and come back next week and tell me how you feel about the art that you digested. I'll go look at Garden of Earthly Pleasures or Earthly Desires.
Garden of Earthly Delights.
The lights. I'm gonna go and look at the painting, and we'll come back next week and we'll talk about how they made us feel and things like that. Because I'm not gonna lie, that's something I want to start doing more of. It's embracing other forms of art
All right.
and
Mm-hmm.
respect the mediums. And I think it'd be a good way to keep track of it. And I urge our listeners, of course, to do the same thing. But before we go any further, let's take a second. Let's pause real quick. Put a pause, and let's talk about something real quick. Guys, we are at about, I want to say $86 on Instagram, and I feel like we can hit 100. I feel like we can hit 100. So we're going to do this. I will do us the immense favor of wasting my money. If you go and shout out ThinkSync Pride on your Instagram, on your Twitters, on your Snapchats, whatever you shout them out on, guys, tag us at ThinkSync Pride. That's ThinkSyncProd on all platforms. That's YouTube, that's Spotify, that's Instagram, that's Twitter, that's TikTok, that's Blue Sky, because we do like Blue Sky. I love Blue Sky. I'll get on that
I
in a
love
second.
this guy. I'm about to
Um,
download them. Mm-hmm.
I recommend it. But if you guys shout us out, we will hold a $20 raffle. All right. So if we get 100, so what you call it, followers on before the next episode, and if you guys get us to 50 subscribers on Instagram, YouTube, that'd be dope too. But if you guys can knock that out for us, everybody who does shout us out, we will log you. We will put you in an Excel file, and we will do a raffle next time. All right. And then as soon as we get that done, hopefully we can see a lot more improvement in terms of just like traffic to the site, you know what I'm saying? But we're doing this because we really want to make money off of ThinkSync. And more than just that, guys, I just love talking to you all so much about everything we do here. So once again, subscribe to us on Instagram. Well, follow us on Instagram, subscribe to us on YouTube. We're on Spotify if you're not on YouTube, Apple Music, Apple Podcasts, whatever you like, everything, man. So just check us out and we can get back to the episode now.
Please do.
Please.
Please check it out.
Oh man, please, seriously, check us out. Now, Blue Sky. Blue Sky is what I call the next advent of social media. It's an attempt, it's a new frontier. It's just Twitter, but without Elon Musk. And that's already 20 times
It's
better in my
already
opinion.
twice
I
better.
love that. I don't like Elon Musk for nothing, for nothing, for nothing. I
I
don't
think
like
the
Elon.
one thing I'm learning about Blue Sky right now is that they let you leave the site. They're not trying to drive engagement and oh, you have to
Yes,
in order to make more money, you have to stay on the site. So we're not gonna point you to the direction that content is actually happening. Or we're gonna silence you when you're not mentioning Blue Sky by name. You're mentioning other social media platforms to go to. Like I really, really like that. Like
it's
it's
a
giving
new
people
printing
that
platform.
actual engagement. What'd you say?
Yes, like that. It was just like early Twitter. Like back in the day, Twitter used to be funny, but Twitter wasn't just funny because Twitter was just like, oh, this is the space. Twitter was funny because it was a genuine place for people to just type their thoughts, and it was better than MySpace because there wasn't as many pedos. So it was like it just made it better, right? But now that we're in this new era, I feel like there's so much of a concentration of power at the top. Nobody with a brain can do anything outside of what the oligarchy says, and I'm tired of that. So Blue
I'm
Sky,
part of
yes,
that.
it's an amazing platform, but it's amazing because it's not really that toxic. It's a good place for you to just spread your wings, literally. No joke intended, but they do have a butterfly logo. Um, and more than anything else, guys, if you were not popular on any other social media and you want to be popular now, gamble, go try your luck.
Oh, Campbell?
Let's go gambling. Ah, dang it. Ah, dang
Oh,
it.
dang it.
Ah, dang
Oh,
it.
dang it.
I love that thing. But yeah, man. I feel like just to go over what we talked about today before we close out, what we consume is important, but not because it's something wrong to be greedy. Like obviously it is. Greed is a cardinal sin. But it's bad in the sense that what we consume is also what we digest. It's what we bring into the next part of our day, right? So if you are constantly willing to battle against yourself every time you are listening to music or watching a television show or even just embracing a new book or a new version of yourself, be careful of what you put in your body because that's what you put into other people. You know, like when you're around those other folks, when you're around your children, when you're around your peers, how you present yourself is extremely important. So taking things in a different light, what is presented to you and how you allow things to be presented to you is also equally important. So with this lesson, please guys, take it into your hearts and then show everybody this episode because I think honestly, it's a pretty decent episode. Hashtag face reveal, even though we never hit our faces. Rich, you smexy as hell, boy. Look at them teeth, man. Look at that nose, them eyebrows, man. The fro, man. Look at that young black brother. Ladies, hit him up. He's single, but not for long. Hit my boy, hit my boy. You know that. Oh, who's that? Who's that? Hello? Rich's hoes. Girl, this ain't.
Oh,
I'm not his. Oh,
girl, you ain't
I
supposed to
am
call
not
me
his
yet.
secretary. Oh my
Mhm.
gosh. Get off my phone. Click. But guys, seriously, just thank you again for always listening to us. Of course, I'm Zeke.
And I'm Rich, and
And
you gotta remember, sink or swim.
shout it.